This is the key decider.
Super Sunday. Yeah, let's go full. Let's do Sky Sports job for them.
Tipping Liverpool to stay up this year.
Thanks for explaining how the Premier League works then.
Enjoy that now.
No.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Football Times podcast with myself, RadioTimes.com sport editor Michael Potts, and I'm joined in the virtual studio once again by BBC Match of the Day magazine writer Jake Wilson, wearing a hat, and I'm not used to not seeing that beautiful hair on display. How are you doing?
Do you want me to get it back out? Yeah, the fade's not so good. You know, it's got a little lockdown trim, but yeah, staying warm, keeping my ears nice and toasty for you, mate.
You can go a month without a haircut. Yeah, you can.
It's rough.
Come on, I mean, there's bigger problems, really. Let's get some perspective here, Jake Wilson. The bigger problem being that I'm actually on holiday this week, but given the fact that my range of movement is pretty much from le bedroom to la kitchen to el bathroom, I thought I'd stop by and see how you're doing, so you're not getting too lonely. I'm
surviving, mate, but it is nice to see your face. I can't lie.
Yeah, I look a bit rough, but anyway, we move on. International break is coming to an end. Interesting international break. Did you get a bit of a chance to watch Gareth Southgate in the future, the champions elect, we'll call them? Did you get much of a chance to watch him this break?
I did. The next generation, it seems, the St. George's generation.
Not bad. It's not the St. George's generation. I'm liking that.
TM, Jake Wilson original. Yeah, maybe.
That becomes a thing. That becomes a thing. Remember where you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. I was actually so impressed by the Belgium performance, and I know that's probably not going to be universally agreed upon. Well, I know it isn't because Twitter has had its way, but if we pulled out that performance in a semi-final, I'd be fairly happy with that against a big team.
Yeah, they didn't dominate. We didn't create loads, especially in that second half. We didn't really test Courtois, which was a bit of a shame. But yeah, we lose 2-0 to the highest ranked team in the world. One goal was deflected. The other one was a bit of magic from Dries.
It wasn't even a free kick either. We've got to reference that. That was a great tackle from Rice.
Yeah. Well, you know, you've got to defend it when it's there. Half the wall jumped, the other half didn't, I think. So that's one way we need to figure out. But yeah, a decent result. I think all three results as well are what you would expect on paper. You know, we should be beating Ireland and Iceland 7-0 combined. And Belgium do probably look a more cohesive and clinical unit than we do. But doesn't mean in a one-off tournament game that we would be scared at all to take on anyone, I think, on these performances.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I mean, we've got to talk about him because, my word, Mr. Jack Grealish, you're nodding before I even say the name.
Yeah.
But we don't have to dwell too much on him because I guess the entire nation has already discussed him at length. But what a performance, man! What a performance! I think I was most impressed by. I mean, the flick was incredible. Like his little flick, I think. Oh yeah. Again and again and again. But I was actually just so impressed at how often he got on the ball, how keen he was for the ball, and how I think players like Rashford, players like Sterling can sometimes, incredible players, incredible footballers who should really be in the starting 11 for England, but they sometimes sort of drift in and out of games, and they activate at the right moment and get that match-winning moment, or score a goal, put the assist in, whatever it is. Grealish just sort of runs the game. He he pulls all the strings going forward there, and every move was kind of being funneled through him, not overly so. Just he naturally was just there for the ball all the time. So impressed. He was just on.
He's brilliant. It's so great to see him wanting the ball so much. And especially in that Iceland game, it seemed like we had 4 or 5 of those players that just constantly wanted to be on the ball. And that's so amazing to see. I think Grealish as well. I think one thing that really works for him and for the team as a whole is how many free kicks he wins. He just knows how to buy them, and players want to attack him, and he buys those free kicks. And you've seen from this break and several breaks and tournaments in the past, we've got dangers from set pieces. Maguire, I think, is another player that is absolutely nailed on for England now. He's had a little bit of trouble, but his range of ball play is outstanding. And especially if Cody might not get the start now, Maguire is that ball player. So you've got him going forward. Rice scored off his shoulder. Kane's brilliant in the air. I think, if Grealish is there, causing havoc anyway, but then getting us the set pieces that might squeak us past a very tricky opposition, that might be a way that we can go deeper into tournaments more consistently.
It's one of those where, as the football fan, I still look and have it, I feel like my team have always lacked that sort of player who's like going to sort of win the free kicks and be a bit nastier in that sort of sense, streetwise. And so my inner football fans kind of like recoil sometimes when Grealish goes down. I'm just like, oh man, like get up. But he's clever, and he does. He doesn't dive. He draws the fouls very well. As we've seen.
This is what Kane and Salah get pulled up on a lot, and they do go down easily. But the game rewards that. So why would they not take advantage? And why would us, England, when we've come so far and so close and gone out to so many freak goals and strange errors, not try and take advantage on the other side? I think it's exactly what football players should be doing, is winning their team's games. And as long as it isn't cheating, which it isn't, it's just playing to the rules that everyone sets. So Kane, carry on, mate. You buy those penalties and free kicks, and Grealish, send us to the European final, eh?
Oh, man, I'm so excited. I've got a ticket as well for next year. I've got a ticket for the Czech Republic group game, the third group game.
Oh, wow.
I got it in the ballot, and oh man, if we're not allowed to go,
I'm the same. I got tickets to the opener, which was meant to be Olympic Stadium in Rome, Italy Turkey, which would have been absolutely fierce. But if it's moved somewhere else or we're not allowed to go, I'm going to be absolutely devoted. If we don't see England lift that trophy with any fans in the stadium.
No, did it even happen? Yeah. All I can say is, come on, Pfizer. Come on, Pfizer. Do your thing. Do your thing, boys. Other vaccines are available. Also, and another shout out as well, just a quick one before we move on. But Mason Mount, I think Mason Mount has come under a lot of stick for the crime of not being Jack Grealish. I think people saw Mount as kind of this slightly safer, sort of boring option sort of thing. But I think you've got to remember that Mount has only been playing Premier League football for less than 2 seasons now. And he's been very exciting throughout that time. Like last season with Tammy and stuff, was amazing to watch them two click just off the bat. And I think now with him, Rice, Henderson, I think that's our midfield 2 sorted. I think between those 3, you pick 2 of those depending on the game. I'd love to see Mount and Henderson in the middle there, because I think people forget that Henderson was the holding player at that World Cup. And I know he's not maybe in the same mould as Declan Rice, who is sort of an out-and-out sort of defensive midfielder, I guess, or could be seen as that. I think having, Henderson and Mount, there's just something there. I think if you've got 3 behind them, they could be the little platform to build on. And their range of passing is so good. They could find a Grealish, a Sancho, a Rashford, a Kane, whoever it is. I'd be interested. I'd also be interested to see us play a 4-2-3-1. give that a shot. However that may work, Grealish in the hole. But
definitely, it does look like a lot of defenders when you have, say, a 5 at the back, which it kind of is, and then 2 properly holding midfielders. Rice and Henderson does come across a bit defensively, but Mount is one of those players that can play several positions. If you played him wide right, you'd be able to play that. If you played him in the 10, he'd be able to play that. He can play the 8. So I think one of those players is more appropriate there alongside either Henderson or Rice. And it's nice that we've got so many options now. Maddison not even in the squad. You've got players like Saka and Foden who seem like nailed on for the European squad now. I think it is like a bit of a new generation. And one thing that really struck me watching the Iceland game was seeing Mount, Grealish and Foden all absolutely tearing it up. Does feel like a new generation that's come very quickly. And there's some players that are going to miss out on the other side. And one for me was Dele Alli. He's not very old. He's early 20s. He just feels like he's been around for ages. But you look at those three, he's really going to have to do something to get in ahead of any of those. So there's the potential that we might not see Dele in an England shirt maybe ever again.
I mean, I don't disagree. Like he has to. The onus is on him, isn't it? To, I mean, no matter how many injuries you get in that squad now, it's going to take a lot for Ali to get in there. Because I'm looking through my options here. I've got, if you're thinking about more the wide or the in the attacking roles, you've got Sterling, Grealish, Greenwood, Sancho. We're forgetting about Greenwood. We've got Sterling, Grealish, Greenwood, Sancho, Foden, Rashford. Potentially Mount can play up there. You've got possibly Maddison, possibly Harvey Barnes, possibly Ross Barkley at some point in all of this if he keeps flying for Villa. There's so much variety in there, and a few of those can play centre midfield, a few of those can play on the wing, a few of those can play sort of advanced but more centrally. Ali, I don't know where he fits into that. He's got so much to get past. And we were all buzzing about getting to a semi-final last time in the World Cup, and that was with Jesse Lingard. I don't want to just take the mick out of Jesse Lingard because obviously he did well to get there, and I liked him when he was there, and he did a good job for England. But Lingard is not even in the top 9 sort of attacking players beyond wide forwards and things. He's just not there. It's crazy how this England generation's come through, and I'm very excited to see it happen.
Definitely, and they all seem like they've got goals or goal involvements in them. One thing Jesse Lingard has been obviously criticised for years about is how little he impacts the scoreline. His goals and assists are not an elite level. But you look at those names you just named. Grealish scores and assists basically every game. Foden scored 2 against Iceland. The second was a beauty. The England's third goal against Iceland. And this is a bit of a tangent, but I almost got me out of my seat. The range of play, the patience. At one point, Tyrone Mings was the furthest man forward. The kind of the cycling of players, and then the work down the left hand side with Sancho cutting in and then delaying the pass, releasing it to Foden, and his finish was lovely as well. Was excellent, and I think we've lacked that in the past. That the cutting edge to break down teams. It was a really brilliant goal that, and I think we do have more goals in us. And this is with Kane going as blanking across the break, and it was fine. It didn't really matter except the Belgium game where it would have helped if he'd hit the net. But that's a bit of an anomaly. But so it's a very good time to be a Free Lions supporter.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. I believe.
Now, 4 months off. 4 months off from it, though. So don't have to think about it again.
I was going to say, I think there's only 4. Did somebody say 4 games, I think, between now, international games between now and the first game of the Euros? I believe that's the case. Or by the time all the friendlies are played and World Cup qualifiers, whatever it is played. So we look forward to that. But now back to Premier League business. We have some good news coming back from the international break. We have more free-to-air games coming in the weeks to come. We have, I believe, Fulham versus Everton this weekend. That's on BBC. We've got Palace v Newcastle on Amazon Prime Video next week as well, which very nice to see. And the scrapping of the 14.95 one-off games. Not all of those games will be made free to air. All of those sort of excess games, but you can pick up the Now TV passes. I think it's a tenner for a day. You can watch a few games with that, or £30 for the month, which, I mean, that's just better value, isn't it? A bit of a win for the consumer there, I believe, for the price of two PPV games. You can get a month of them. And one game you will now be able to see, Liverpool versus Leicester. What a wonderful Saturday night we have ahead of us. It's a 7:15 kickoff on Sunday evening, and that's on Sky Sports. I mean, we've got to start with injuries, really, don't we, with Liverpool? What Liverpool is going to turn up? You're going to have to start taking letters out of their name. The injury list, sorry to keep going through lists here, but Van Dijk is out, Gomez is out, Fabinho is out, Reece Williams has some hip trouble, Trent Alexander-Arnold is out, Henderson is a doubt, Thiago is a doubt, Salah is out with COVID. I mean...
Yeah, Robbo had some trouble on the break as well, so it could have been even fewer players. I was looking through that list too, and when you know all the big names are out and you know the trouble, but then when you've got like Reece Williams out as well, when your backups are going down, and you've got Matip, trying to stay fit, just holding himself
just
together.
wrapping him in cotton wool.
It's a scary time for Liverpool, but when you look at their front three that they'll probably play, they've still got Mane, Firmino, Jota. That's going to cause any team trouble, especially because Leicester aren't the best for injuries themselves. They still haven't got Ndidi. Soyuncu and Amati are both out. Fofana, their young defender they've just bought, who's been absolutely flying in the league, he seems like he might be out because he got injured on international duty. So I think Leicester have got something like 4 fit senior defenders, and one of those is teenage Luke Thomas. So it's the best of an injured bunch. It's going to be out on that pitch.
Goals.
Vardy 9, Mane 7.
Yeah, basically that. Just have Mane versus Vardy. Just like scrap the rest of them. I was looking at Liverpool. Their expected back four will be Robertson, Matip. They think Reece Williams is going to be fit, and Nico Williams at right back. Which it's an interesting one, and what I've got written down here is basically, if there's one man you don't want to face with a makeshift defence, and one man who will see this and lick his lips, raise his game, it's Jamie Vardy, isn't it? I think a lot of players you can maybe get by, and strikers will just take defenders as they come, take teams as they come. You know for a fact Vardy is sitting there at home just thinking, you know what, lads, let's have this. Let's have a bit of this.
Oh, yeah. He's adding an extra can of Red Bull to his pre-match. He's ready. He's going to
Red Bull.
Yeah, it's going to tear them to shreds.
Amazing.
And then you've got probably Maddison behind him, who's going to have heard all about Grealish and Foden and Mount all international break, and he's going to be chomping at the bit.
He will
to put one past Liverpool. So it's going to be exciting. And then on the other side, Liverpool's front three, no Salah. Mane's going to be like, finally, this is my chance for the spotlight. Jota's going to be like, okay, maybe I can squeak in here as this front three. Firmino has really got to score a goal. I know he does so much more than that, but to get the monkey off his back, so to speak. These are some teams that are going to be heavily motivated to score some goals. Cue the 0-0.
I know, excellent. That's what I was just about to say. I think all of this, and it's going to be like the most boring, drab game.
Michael makes 18 saves.
Yeah,
that's all we get
from Nico Williams. And also a quick note on Leicester before we move on. But a funny old team, Leicester, because I'm old enough to remember when they were cut to ribbons by West Ham 6 weeks ago. They were absolutely slaughtered. I watched that game. West Ham absolutely killed them that 90 minutes. And then they were beaten at home to Villa as well the week after. And there was actually there's a bit of an outcry around Leicester, I think. They were wondering where they were going, what's going on with Rodgers, whether the team was on the way down, whether it was on the way up, what was going on. And now they're sitting top of the league in November, nearly December. Won 6 games in all competitions since, which is against Arsenal, Leeds, Wolves, and 3 in Europe. So, I mean, anything is possible. We've seen with Leicester, anything is possible. And you would say that man for man, they have a better team, potentially barring, Conte and Mahrez. But I guess they've kind of got replacements in those positions who can do a very decent job. But across the squad, it's a deeper squad than the one that won the title.
100%, and a younger squad too.
Yeah.
And they're with their injuries at the minute, like we've said. Like when they lost those two key games, I think they were without Vardy, without Ndidi, and without Ricardo. And they're such brilliant footballers, all three of them. Ndidi, I think, it has shown how influential he's been. Mendy's stepped up. He's done well, but Ndidi is another class for interceptions and ball retention. And Ricardo, I will rave about until the sun goes down. That lad is a wonderful footballer going forward and at the back. And yeah, like we said, we can't praise Vardy enough. His legs will just keep moving until the day that his career ends. So
the Red Bull factory closes.
So I think, like you said, they're very strong this year, and it's nice. The Premier League's nice and close, and it could go to one of 6 teams the league this year. Let's say, just for hype's sake, this is the key decider.
Ooh, Super Sunday. Let's go full. Let's do Sky Sports' job for them. Prediction for this one.
It's hard to go against Liverpool, but I'm going to say this one's going to be a draw. I think both sides have got weaknesses, but both sides have got really brilliant strengths. So, yeah, nice 2-2 score draw.
Comfortable up on that fence?
Yeah, very comfortable.
I'm leaning Leicester.
The points from the top of the points.
Yeah, I'm leaning Leicester there, I don't know. There's a bit of Liverpool's entire team taken out. There's a little bit of their midfield taken out. There's a little bit of their strike force taken out. Their defence is ragged, and I genuinely think Vardy is going to have a field day. I could see a 2-1. I could see a mad 3-1. Let's go 3-1 Leicester. I know it sounds crazy, and I know Liverpool aren't suddenly a terrible team. Of course they're not, and I think they will be still very much the favourites to win this league. I just think we've seen some mad results, and hey, why not another one? Moving on, we have Tottenham versus Manchester City. It's a 5:30 kickoff on Saturday evening, and that's live on Sky Sports. Tottenham, again, one of the most impressive teams of the season so far. 1-goal winning margins over West Brom, over Brighton, over Burnley don't look particularly exciting. But the results were very rarely in doubt. I think I watched the Burnley game, and I don't know why I watched the Burnley game. It was a slog. But they just never looked like losing that game, and you could always kind of tell that they were going to get that goal in the end. And I guess barring those sort of freak West Ham shambles and that penalty for Newcastle early on, they'd have won every game in the Premier League since the opening day. I just think there's so much to like about Spurs right now across the team, from the likes of Højbjerg in the middle, who is holding the fort very well, to the likes of Kane, obviously, Son, and Bale should be joining them this weekend. We should have that front three raring to go. Interesting.
Very interesting. Only Chelsea have scored more Premier League goals than Spurs so far this year. And that's not the Spurs that we've kind of seen for a little while. No. This free scoring, obviously Kane and Son playing out of their skins. I rep Højbjerg as well, like you said. I think he's been excellent. I think defensively they still have a few issues. They can't pick who they want at right back. They've been playing Doc, signed him from Wolves. My beloved Matt Doherty, but they don't seem to love him immediately. The fans aren't convinced. And then you've got Aurier as the backup, who has his moments of wonder, but then seems to have a moment of disaster in him as well. Centre backs, I think there's a little bit of tentativity to say that that's completely sorted. Davinson and Alderweireld and Dyer, there's still some choice there. Left back. Reguilon looks amazing, and just hopefully defensively he's as good as he is going forwards. So I think there's some issues still, but the signs are as green as they're going to have been for a while. And I know they're playing City, but if international duty is anything to go by, Harry Kane is going to be absolutely itching to hit that net.
Absolutely. There's a lot to like about this one. I'm very. I mean, I just enjoy watching Spurs, and what you're saying there about Aurier as well. A quick shout out to Sergio Aurier. I got a guilty pleasure, and it is Sergio Aurier. I like the guy. I think he's a good player. I know that's my credibility shot there, pretty much, but or whatever credibility I had. But I think he's all right. I think he does have that moment in him, that sort of, that swinging leg in the box where you just recoil in horror. I think going forward, I think he's excellent going forward. And I think some of his deliveries, sometimes he can be a bit off target with his deliveries, but on the whole, I feel like he puts some very dangerous balls into the box for Spurs. I think he's such a threat. Again, Spurs fans, don't at me. I mean, you know about him more than me. But from what I've seen, I think Aurier isn't a bad player going forward. If you want your right back to bomb forward, Aurier's not a terrible choice. But obviously, the payment is the fact that you've got a bit of a scare every now and then at the back. But yeah, Son, Kane, Bale, we're expecting to see them. Like you say, Kane chomping at the bit after the international break. And I know Bale got his first goal before the international break. He'll be wanting to sort of pick up and actually, not be this unfit Bale or regaining fitness Bale, but actually be Gareth Bale coming back. That is exciting for everybody. And moving on to Manchester City, interesting form. They've lost one all season in all competitions, but we've got a draw-win, draw-win, draw going on at the moment in the Premier League. Not particularly convincing. Defensively, I think we've always been a little bit. I think since Vincent Kompany, they've started to replace him now with the likes of Diaz and I don't really want to say they've replaced him with Sniff Nagley because that's a big leap, but they have started pile the defensive reinforcements in there. 5 teams only conceded 9, including them. But only 10 goals to show for it. It's a different Man City we're seeing this season.
It is, but I think that's because they've had so many players out as well. It seems like we're just constantly talking about injuries. I think we have to come to
interesting
as a bigger topic. But yeah, so they've lacked Jesus for most of the season. Sounds like he's coming back now. Obviously got his goal before the break. Aguero, he's been training again. It sounds like he's inching closer to being fit. Sterling has been out. He sounds like he's coming back very shortly. Fernandinho sounds like he's coming back. So I think that will make it a more recognisable City team. And I think one that will be able to create that consistency that they've been lacking in results. But while we're here, mate, I've got to talk about my favourite player.
Here he goes.
I do. I've said his
Strap
name
yourself in, boys.
1,000 times on this podcast. Because like every week I say the words Ferran Torres. But he only scored a hat-trick against Germany over the international break.
Did do that.
So I think the snip money that City paid for him, he's just going to turn out to be such a player.
I'm feeling it. I mean, I'm still, to my shame, I'm still yet to really watch him for any extended period of time. So I think I might have to rectify this weekend if he plays against Spurs. I know there's chat that it could be Jesus, Foden and Torres going forward, which, I mean, if that isn't a reason to tune in, I don't know what is. But that sounds decent to me. But I also want to, I know you're heavily tipping the new guy, but I want to go back to the old here and just basically say how all of this, I mean, City, they've scored fewer than Brighton this season. They've got as many as Newcastle. Steve Bruce's Newcastle have scored as many as City this season so far. And this all goes to add towards Sergio Aguero being the absolute guy. I feel like there's a lot of, I feel like the wide forward and the Ferran Torres of the world, they're sort of in fashion right now. And the strikers, the humble strikers, they're being phased out a little bit for false nines, for wider players, for whatever you want to call them. I just think there's no substitute for a clinical focal point like Aguero. I just think having him lead that line, as good as Jesus is, I do like Jesus, but having Aguero lead that line instantly, that entire team is enhanced. Like De Bruyne has something to aim for, on land and sea and air, whichever route he wants to get to, he will get there to Aguero. You've got Sterling has somebody to play off and play with and, be fed by, feed, all of that. Just think Aguero is so important to this team. And I'm so excited to see him coming back because he is.
You can't account
after
for
all,
Aguero. You can. There's so many ways that wide forwards or kind of fluid front lines can break you down if you're a defence. But if you're organised and compact and you stick to your position, you've got to feel like you can do it. You can get a clean sheet out of them. But when Aguero's playing, when you've got one of those players, the ball just drops in the box. If it bounces in the box, Aguero's just going to snaffle it up and just honk it into the net. And so you can do all the good work you want, but Aguero can just change the game. He's a match winner. There's no substitute for that. As a Wolves fan, we would be nothing without the goals of Raul Jimenez. It's brilliant having all the wide forwards. We've got Traore, Neto, Podence. But if we don't have Raul Jimenez there to hit one in from 15 yards, then what are we? So I think that across the board, Spain beat Germany 6-0. They had Morata up top.
Yeah.
You need strikers.
Need somebody up there to be playing with and to. I want a prediction for that one, a quick prediction for that one.
Yeah, it's City's this. I think they're going to come back and they'll be firing. I think they're going to beat Spurs maybe 2-0.
Ooh, interesting. I wasn't expecting that one because I'm going to go for a cheeky little 1-0 Spurs. Interesting.
Right. Bragging rights next week.
Yeah, a little bit one of a Jose getting one over Pep there, I believe. But going with Pep over Jose. Fine.
Maybe that shows our mentalities, Michael. You're more of a pragmatist and I'm a dreamer.
I kind of think that's true in football. I love Mourinho. I absolutely adore Jose Mourinho. So maybe that's it. Maybe. And very quickly running through fantasy, we've already gone through our Wolves for the week, but fantasy Premier League tips. Have you got any quick shouts for us in this one?
Yeah, I think the big debate is, do you keep Mo Salah? Obviously out this week with COVID. He's going to miss the Champions League game. Sounds like he'll probably miss the Brighton game as well. But without confirmation, it is hard to know. So I'm very much on the fence. So my finger's scrolling over that button. Do you swap in for KDB or Mane? I think I probably will in the end, because even when he does come back, he might not be 100% match fit. So they might bring him off the bench. He might have a half an hour last bit of the game. So it's a tough one to know. If he misses one game and he's straight back in, great. But if he misses two and he's not quite fit for the third, that's the tricky one. So the Mo Salah is the question. But what is the answer?
My answer is, I think I'm going to stick. I think, I've actually made a couple of changes, and Salah stayed. I made a couple of changes a little bit earlier in the week to beat some price boosts, so I've maybe done that wrong. But I basically went and got Bruno Fernandes in already, and I've taken Son out.
Ooh, ouch!
It's bold because I've got Kane. I took Son out because they've got a really tough run of fixtures coming up. And I kind of think if Bale's in there, is he going to split some of the rewards? Whereas Kane, for me, is the one who's always going to be the top of the pack. It's a risk. I'm aware that's a risk, but Fernandes for me is purring along. And I also put in Shea Adams instead of, I think it was Wilson I put in for, injured Wilson. But Shea Adams, he has that chance now with Danny Ings out. Adams has a lot of good returns. He has a lot of assists. He's got a lot of goals. He's got a bit of everything. Consistent flow of sort of 5 to 6 points each week, which is just very nice. I think just looking back through his history here, he got 11 points, 8 points, 5 points, 7 points in his last 4 games. That's 3 goals, 2 assists, and a couple of bonus point hauls as well. So Shea Adams is the one for me. I mean, yeah, the Salah thing could go very wrong.
But there's so many players that can soak up the missed points if you do get that wrong. Lamptey, I want to shout out Lamptey before he moved on.
Yeah.
4.8 mil, 15 points in his last 2 game weeks. Seems like such a smart buy. And a returning face, Michael, one of my absolute favourite Premier League players. It's Richarlison. I think Everton have missed him as much as they've missed James and his form recently. He changes the way they play completely. He's not that cheap, but they've got Fulham away, Leeds at home, Burnley away. Next 3 games, that's good.
Anybody considering getting rid of DCL or what's his face, James? Anybody considering getting rid of those? I think look at those fixtures and think otherwise.
Yeah, maybe try and get a defender in there. One of my housemates has got Michael Keane, and he's had him since day one. And every week he messages me, "Oh, Michael Keane's got another header." And I'm like, "Cheers, mate. Thanks for that."
Ooh, Michael Keane friend. Fair enough. I mean, I respect that. I respect the crazy people who choose to die on those hills. But fair play. What is coming up on Match of the Day magazine this week, Mr. Wilson?
Oh, mate, it's our takeover special on shelves. So if you are going to get your suppliers this week, it's there on the shelf. Don't worry, it hasn't gone anywhere. And it is jam-packed with some of the biggest names in football. They've all contributed to this issue. And we also rank the Prem's best attacks. Michael Richards has helped us out with that one, and he is on wicked form. And if you'd like to see a little bit from Micah, yes, I'm going to shout out Match of the Day magazine's YouTube channel, which is growing, which is thriving. The numbers are going up and we are pushing it. It's some good stuff on there, Michael. I'm sure you'll love it if you go and have a search. And great safe place for young football fans to enjoy the beautiful game.
Absolutely. And if anybody listening to this podcast just wants to see the beautiful face that I have to look at every single Thursday, whatever it was, you can see it on there. His beaming little face. Look at it.
Hello, it's me.
Thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Wilson. I'd love to tell you what's on radiotimes.com sport right now, but I haven't got a clue because I'm back on holiday now. So see you later. And I'll be back next week along with potentially Mr. Wilson, potentially Mr. Stobbs. We'll see what happens. See you next week. Thank you very much. Bye.